Right, hello again, and welcome to my Jumpers to Follow season series, episode 3 of the series. So, obviously, 2 pretty successful episodes so far. Got plenty of likes and views. Thank you for all the comments to those that have messaged and said that they're enjoying the series so far. I'm certainly enjoying going through it and talking about some of the horses that I'm looking forward to for the new season. So, yeah, like I say, I'm just going to keep doing it. Keep pushing my opinion out there, and hopefully we can look forward to a great season ahead. Obviously, Chepstow's in 5 weeks, so we've got a lot to look forward to. So just a quick word, the book has obviously raised quite a lot of money for charity so far. We're nearly at the £200 mark, which is obviously fantastic. So thank you to everyone who has DM'd me and donated and got a copy of my Jumpers to Follow guide for the new season. Like I say, if you do want a copy and like to donate, it's for Hull for Heroes, which is an amazing veterans charity. So just DM me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now, and I can get your donation into the pot and you can grab a copy. So yeah, brilliant. So without further ado, I am going to dive straight into episode 3. And the first horse I'm going to talk about, I'm going to kick it off with Willie Mullins. And it's a horse called Tully Hill. Now, this is a horse for Cheveley Park, and it's got form of a 1-2 there. And I'm really looking forward to this horse again. I'm sort of going back to the Dream to Share form book. But this horse was a 220k purchase at the point-to-point sales, and it was impressive on debut. A 2 mile 4 bumper at Goran back in March last year, and was impressive. You know, travelled well, was quite wide throughout, but just put the field away quite comfortably. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one's going to get on now. It was thrown into a pretty hot bumper, like I say, at the Punchestown Festival, up against the likes of a Dream to Share, King of Kingsfield back in 3rd, and It's For Me back in 4th. So it was obviously a pretty decent bumper, and they pulled quite a way clear of the 3rd horse. And although Dream to Share did win, I thought for the second run, obviously a Dream to Share coming back off the champion bumper victory, maybe had a little bit more experience, just a little bit more tactical speed over the 2 mile, I thought, for Tully Hill. And I think Tully Hill just looks to be this probably a Ballymore, maybe even further, potentially an Albert Battler, but I do think he wants to step up in trip while they go over hurdles. And he just looks like a real good traveller, stays really well. Looks like a big assertive horse. So I'm looking forward to see how he's going to get on in a novice hurdle season. Fantastic. So that's the first one for Willie Mullins. So my next one, once my mouse gets to working. The next one is going to be a horse called Tiger Bay Queen. Now, this is a mare by a little bit of a smaller trainer. Peter Fahey's got this one, 5-year-old. And I'm really excited for this one. Now, this one had a debut bumper quite a while back. It came second to a horse called Mercury, who was a semi-okay horse, but like I say, on debut, it wasn't bad at the time. The horse, Mercury, was quite well touted at the time. Like I say, and this one pushed that horse all the way. And we didn't see her again for 436 days. Now, obviously, she had a couple of issues potentially, but they put her away, got them sorted, and she come back and she won a bumper in quite taking fashion. You know, if you go back, she was sort of held up in last place, travelled really well, and stayed on really strongly and won going away. And there was a horse called Theatre Native, which was quite, again, well thought of in that race. And she put her away by about 7 lengths in the end. She came 4th. And Miss Augusta was in there as well. And she got beat quite easily. So I'm quite looking forward to this mare, Tiger Bay Queen. She's probably going to go novice hurdles, get her in the mare's novice chairs. The mare's novice, potentially for Cheltenham. But I just think she'll go under the radar. Obviously, you've got the likes of Mullins and Elliott. They're all going to have decent mares out there. You know, like Henry de Bromhead's going to have a couple. Kenny Alexander's obviously bought a couple of nice mares in there. So I think the one like Tiger Bay Queen, who's obviously had a big break in between 2 bumpers, could potentially go unnoticed. So I'm sticking her in the tracker, and I'm going to be interested to see where she ends up going as the season progresses. Lovely, fantastic. Right. My next one is another. I'm going to go back to Willie Mullins, but this is another mare, again, who I think might go on the radar because she's not sort of blown many away, and we're not seeing her too much. But Junta Marvel is one I'm quite looking forward to, owned by the Turner family. Now, she was a pretty decent bumper winner. She won her first race over 2 mile 3 on soft ground. You know, and if you go back and watch the race, she was keen a little bit early on, and she beat a horse called Bioluminescence. Again, it was a little bit sort of well sought after. I know a few people were backing her on the day, and she put her away by a couple of lengths, and she looked like she could probably mark that up quite a bit, that run. I thought the form looks quite strong there. And then she's obviously gone to the Punchestown Festival, and she's beat a horse called Fun, who I know Patrick Mullins thinks quite a lot of. And she was quite a short price that day, and Junta Marvel's put her away pretty easily. She was held up towards the rear, travelled really well, but she just kept finding for pressure. And I think if you get a mare who looks like she stays really well, even for pressure, that's the kind of mare you want, a mare that's going to battle all the way to the line. Honeysuckle-esque, as they say. She always used to battle all the way to the end. And I think Junta Marvel could be one that looks quite well in there. I know I've put Supreme Ballymore there, but that shouldn't actually say that. She'd be looking more of a Mares Novice hurdle season. That's Mary there. But yeah, Mares Novice, I think she's going to go hurdling. And I quite like this one. She looks quite exciting. And again, she's with Mullins. He's got so much firepower. She could potentially go under the radar. I love saying under the radar. So yeah, that's what we're trying to look for here. We'll look for a few that might come at a big price. That's what we want on this series. Lovely, right? So, like I say, I'm going to fly through these and try not to keep it too long, boy, with my voice. But the next one is I'm going to go to Paul Nicholls now. And this is the horse that I've looked into, and I quite like the look of this horse, a horse called Pentire Head. Obviously goes for Nicholls, a 5-year-old gelding now. This horse is a brother to Mount News. If you go back through the form again, this horse, decent start to life, he's placed in all 3 bumpers. But if he's not been far off. He comes second in an Exeter bumper where it was pretty testing conditions, and he only went down the neck. And I just think he'll come on for a lot of that sort of runs. And his last second place there was a second in behind a really well looking horse called Johnny Who I think I will come to later on in the series. But this horse obviously looks an exceptional talent, and Pentire Head comes second to that one. And I just think if you look back at the race, he looks a little bit outpaced. And it just looks like he's staying on quite well towards the end, and he does that in most of his races. I think a step up in trip and hurdles will be the making of this lad. I've put Ballymore, Albert Bartlett there. I mean, not all these horses are going to go on to be festival winners, obviously, but I'd like to think that, especially over in the UK, a few of these Nicholses and there's a few Henderson ones in there where they're going to pick up races as the season progresses, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in this series. Obviously, there'll be a lot of well-known horses in here that are going to go on and hopefully be festival winners. But again, we do want to try and find a few in there that are going to maybe go and win a few races as we lead up to the big festivals, because that's what it's all about. We need to win as we go along in the season. But yeah, Pentire Head, I've elevated his level, his form there behind Johnny Who. I think he'll come on for that run again. And once he sees a hurdle and step up in trip, I'm excited to see where he may go. So yeah, that's Pentire Head for Nicholls. Lovely. Right, so that's my novice hurdlers for this section. I'm going to move on now to 3 novice chasers. And I'm going to start with a little bit of a contentious one that may go chasing or may stay over hurdles, but it's going to be certainly interesting to see which way they do go. And it's a horse called Imperial Pass. Now, we all know just how good this horse can be. I mean, he won that Ballymore in just exceptional. It was an exceptional performance, mega impressive. Like I say, beat the likes of Gaelic Warrior, Goodland, all them horses in there. And he's put them to the sword and won quite easily. We obviously, if you go back before that, he won his maiden over 2 mile 3 before dropping down to 2 mile on heavy ground, and he bolted up, putting away a few nice grade 3 horses. And like I say, straight up back up to 2 mile 5 to the Ballymore. And it was just so impressive. I'm so excited for this horse. I think he really is going to be a superstar. Now, obviously, I went to Punchestown, and it wasn't the most impressive performance, but he still managed to win quite convincingly, you'd have to say. So I'm looking forward to him. Now, obviously, Constitution Hill is the fly in the ointment for every single novice hurdler last season, or hurdler for any sort of matter, really. So it's a case of where are these horses going to go now. Now, it's probably looking more likely that Constitution Hill is going to stay over hurdles and go for the champion hurdle. Now, I think if that's the case, I don't really see any reason why they'd keep Imperial Pass over hurdles. I think you'd stick him straight into novice chasing. And I think he's an Arco type, me personally. I think he'll be one of them. It'll be similar to old Fabiolo. I can see the double green wanting to go for back-to-back Arcles and just get him out there and tank him along. And obviously we know he stays a lot further. So I think if he takes to fences, it could be quite electric. And I think the Arcle will be spot on for him. And obviously Willie Mullins has got the likes of Facile Vega, potentially for the Turners and other horses in there. Gaelic Warrior, if he goes chasing, he'll be perfect for the Brown Advisory. So you're looking at the Brown Advisory, the Turners, and Imperial Pass for the Arcle. So he's going to have an extremely strong hand come the big festivals later on in the season. But I'm really intrigued to see where Imperial Pass is going to go, whether he goes chasing or if he sticks to the champion hurdle route or if he goes for something else. But I just think with Constitution Hill, why bother risking it? I mean, I'd love to see him take him on. Same with the likes of Marine National and things like that, but it's just probably not going to be the case. So I think Impaire Et Passe is definitely going to go potentially over the larger obstacles. Lovely. So it's going to be a bit of a quicker episode, so I'm trying to fly through this. The next one then I'm going to talk about is a horse again for Nicholls, who I quite like, who I think is going to go novice chasing, a horse called Nappers Hill. Now, this horse has been able to get some decent form for me over hurdles. He's picked up a couple of nice Grade 2 wins, the likes of the Elite Hurdle, where he beat So Royal, and then you go back to the Select Hurdle at Sandown, where he put away the likes of Goshen and Time Hill. And he just looks a nice little horse that I think can go well over fences. Well, he's not a little horse, but I think he would now take the step up over to the big obstacles. Now, if you go back through those races, his jumping did seem to improve sort of as the season went on. And I think he's very ground versatile, very trip versatile. You know, he's won at trips to 2 mile to 2 mile 4. He's won on ground that's good to firm and soft and heavy and things like that. So I think he's got so many options. I think if he goes over the novice chase route, I do think that Nicholls is going to have a pretty strong hand wherever he takes him. I think he will be able to reach a decent level. And I think sort of looking to the start of the season, I think if you look at sort of Chepstow, the Rising Star novices chase there, also the Rising Star at Wincanton, I think that could be a potential target early on in the season, and those early novice chases over in the UK where you maybe don't get too many big fields and things like that, and he could bounce around and pick up a few nice races before taking his chance in some of the spring festivals. So yeah, Nappers Hill again is one I'm looking forward to, and I would have him as either an Arkle or Turners if he lined up at Cheltenham. I think that's going to be the case, but we shall see. Lovely. So again, my last novice chaser for this section before I hit you with my 2 point-to-point recruits. Like I say, I'm going to go with a horse called Goodland. Now, I've obviously mentioned Marine National, and I think Goodland deserves a mention here again for Barry Connell as well. And I think he's definitely going to go on novice chasing. I think he's going to send them both chasing. And I think he'll be more of a Turner's horse. So again, we're going to see quite a few decent clashes, hopefully, if they all get there eventually at Cheltenham. But this horse, it was impressive. It was unbeaten, barring an unseat early on in a maiden at Fairyhouse, but it came to the Dublin Racing Festival with a big, decent reputation. Obviously, Barry Connell's he never shies away from and talking good about his horses. And I think a few people will have been unlucky on the double at Cheltenham, but Marine National obviously won the Supreme. But I think Goodland definitely looks like a decent horse now. You know, he's gone and won at the Dublin Racing Festival. It was a really good run. He had the likes of Sandor Kilgane in there, Absolute Notions, and a few others in behind. And he's gone out and led them and made all. And I thought it was really impressive. And obviously, he's gone short for the Ballymore. And but obviously, we had Impaire Et Passe who won that quite convincingly. But I still think the run in the Ballymore was decent. You know, I won't take away from the run. You know, it was a likely racehorse going into it, and I just think he had Gaelic Warrior in front and Impaire Et Passe in front, and it's still a good run to get in behind them. You know, them two are going to be up there at the top level all the way through the season. So I wouldn't write off Goodland at all. And if he does take to fences, I think he's going to be definitely be a Turner's type to take on potentially the likes of Facile Vega. And I think he's going to have a strong hand. He's Barry Connell. He's obviously got a few good horses coming through, but I do quite like Goodland, so I'm willing to stick with him and see how he gets on in them early stages over in Ireland and a few of them novice chases. And if he does seem to take well to fences, I think he's going to be definitely a Turner's live chance, 100%. Right, so that's it for my novice chasers and my novice hurdlers. Obviously, as the series progresses, when we get closer to the Chepstow kickoff, I will be looking into more of the open graded races and things like that. So make sure you keep an eye out on them. But I'm going to move on now to my 2 point-to-point recruits. Now, hopefully you can see all that, but I'm just sort of going to fly through these. Now, this is a horse. The first one's a horse called Wingman. It's been purchased by Gordon Elliott. Now, this horse has gone for £250,000, which is obviously a decent whack. And he won his point-to-point really well. He's won it by sort of 12 lengths at a canter. And it was soft heavy that day, so you know this guy's going to stay. He's got a real good engine. I thought it looked like he had enormous potential. And, you know, obviously, Gordon Elliott will probably take his time with him. But hopefully, we get to see him out in a bumper early in the season. Whether they go straight over hurdles, I'm not too sure. But I do think we'll get to see him at some point. And I'm just hoping that, a few of these point-to-point recruits, obviously quite a few of them have been purchased for a lot, but I'm going to try and find a few that maybe go under the radar and not as the sort of biggest sales. But it's one of them, like I said, when I made my appearance on the Final Furlong podcast. Hopefully a few of you managed to watch that. That was quite a surreal experience. But we talked about how some of these point-to-pointers, unless you get them in the trackers early, you maybe miss the bumper season, or you maybe miss a few runs, or they pop up in a hurdle somewhere and they go and win. And we're all sat there thinking, wow, how did we miss that one? But it's always good to get them in the tracker early and see when they're going to progress and when they start coming out and making an appearance. Because obviously some of these can be quite young horses. You might not see them for a year or 18 months or whatever. So it's quite good to get them in the tracker early. So that first one is Wingman for Gordon Elliott. I'm looking forward to that one. And the last one for this episode is a horse called Tell Her the Name. Now, Ben Paulins got this one again. It was another 200k purchase. Won his point-to-point. He's a son of Molinas. And I thought there's plenty of depth to his win before he got bought. He made all in quite stylish fashion. And, he beat the brother to Envoy Allen. So the brother to Envoy Allen was in his point-to-point. And although if you go back and watch the replay of the point-to-point, it seemed to send him for home quite early. But once he sort of realised, the horse was already cantering all over them anyway. So he's got this big lead and he just kept going and going and nothing's got anywhere near him. And he just stayed on so strongly towards the line and jumped really well. And he still looked full of running towards the last fence and just come out of the jockey's hands and has flown away. Now, this horse is obviously a young horse. He's only 4-year-old now. But for me, he's got bags and bags of potential. I think Ben Paulins got himself a nice one here. Tell Her the Name. And I think it's definitely one to get in the trackers now. I think they'll definitely go over bumpers with him being quite a young horse. I think over the bumper season, definitely keep an eye out for this one. And then we'll push on for novice hurdles later on in his career. But yeah, Wingman and Tell Her the Name are the 2 point-to-point recruits for today's episode. Right, well, that's it for this episode. I do apologise if it's been a little bit quicker, this one. I had a few issues beforehand, so I've tried to get it recorded and get it out as soon as possible. But like I say, there's 5 more episodes after this, 5 more weeks till Chepstow. So it's just about getting excited, talking about the jumps, talking about some of these horses. You might get excited about something or something might crop up. You think, I didn't think of that one. So fingers crossed we can fill these trackers up with some nice horses. And like I say, if you do want to get my book, it's got every single horse that I'll be talking about in this series already in there. Plenty of detail, loads of writing in there, loads of targets for the season and things like that. So please feel free to DM me and get your donations in. I'm hoping to get another decent whack of money in for Hull for Heroes, the veterans charity. Like I say, 5 weeks to fill that pot up. And then I can get it donated to them on that weekend. So, like I say, thank you for listening. Make sure you follow me on Twitter or X at Woodsy92 and subscribe to the channel on here. We are growing quite well. So, thank you for the support. And like I say, leave a comment if you're watching it and there's maybe a horse you think is going to be good for the season or something like that, or you want to comment on anything I've spoken about, feel free. I do enjoy reading the comments and messages. So, yeah, keep them coming. Fingers crossed we can carry on. Have a great season. So, yeah, thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time in episode 4. Goodbye.